Hey everybody, this is Jason of jasonmportraits.com, and tonight I will be discussing uh, my typical edits for eyes. Eyes are the most important thing of the image, in my opinion, and I'll just go over briefly what I do. This isn't what I do on all of them. Vast majority of them it is, but not every single one of them. So let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is add a little bit of contrast, and I do that by duplicating this layer, which is keyboard shortcut Control J, and then I'll simply change the blending mode from normal to soft light, and you're going to see that it adds a whole lot of contrast. Get you zoomed in here. It does make everything else in the image look really awful, so let's hide that behind a layer mask. Holding the Alt and clicking the layer mask icon, it'll open a new layer mask but fill it with black, and that will hide everything. So we simply go over here and grab our brush, foreground color set to white, and we're going to paint that contrast back in. To the other eye. It's a little bit too dark for my taste, so I'm going to roll that down probably to about 40%. Let's back down to 40% there. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is lighten them. Whenever I add the contrast, it darkens them up a little bit. And to do this, I'm going to merge these layers to a new layer. Windows shortcut for that is Control-Alt-Shift-E. Push all those at once, makes a new layer. I'm going to change the blending mode from normal to screen. And then once again, holding Alt, click on the layer mask. That'll hide that. Brush selected, white is your foreground color. We're going to paint the screen into. And if you go over on your eye, don't really worry about it. All you need to do is switch your foreground color to black and paint away. So, not that big of a deal. I'm going substantially faster than I typically would, but just to save a little bit of time. Next thing I'm going to do is add some sharpening. Well, actually, let me drop back. I think those are a little bit too light. Let me drop that down to 50%, maybe 40%. And I tend to stick around the 40% range. I start everything at 50 and then roll it back or up, depending on what I'm going for. I think 35 is going to work for that one. So let's add a layer to sharpen them. Control-Alt-E to merge everything to its to a new layer. Filter, sharpen, smart sharpen. I do a radius of 2, an amount of 180, and definitely make sure that your remove is set to Gaussian blur. Hit OK. Get you zoomed back in here. We'll turn this off and on. You can see how much it sharpens the eyes there. But I don't want everything sharpened, so again, holding Alt, let's click on Layer Mask. It's going to hide that effect. Brush selected, foreground color to white. Let's paint in that sharpness. And just a little side note, I would typically paint in the eyebrows and the eyelashes as well. But for this demonstration, I'm not going to. Drop that to 50%, turn it off and on. I want to go maybe to 60%. Okay. Zoom it out. Okay, just show you a quick before and after. You see they really stand out there. The last thing that I will typically do is whiten the whites of the eye a little bit. So let's make a new layer, Control-Alt-Shift-E. Set the blend mode to screen. Hide that, Alt, click Layer Mask. Zoom you back in here. For this, I'll drop the brush down to about 60%. Small brush, get in there. Like I said, don't really worry if you go over. You just switch your foreground color to black. Paint it in, switch it back to white. Black, clean up the edges, and then on this I will zoom it all the way out to see what I think looks natural. That does not look too bad right there at 50%. One thing I try to do on my edits, I don't want it to be noticeable. I want everything to be very, very minimal. And that is about it. There's probably a couple 100,000 ways that you can edit eyes. This is what I have found that works for me, that I like the most. I've thrown all of these into an action, so I can edit eyes in under a minute now. Give you a nice before. There's before, straight out of the camera. There's after. Nice, light, and sharp. Before, after. Okay, that's everything. Thanks.